Oh, man. Huh? Look what's going on. How crazy is that? Right? Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good times, good party. I said good day, sir. We're a little early. Man, we are early. Well, I had to wake up early. That's why. Morning people, I still do not understand you. And when I say morning people, I mean morning people by choice. Like you choose it. I don't get it. Somebody explain it to me. Alright, it's saying that we couldn't chat, but I just threw a test in there and it looks like it was working. But I am not. Okay, cool. Alright, now it's saying you guys are chatting, but I'm not seeing anything. Which is weird. Here, let me refresh here, see if that helps. See if that maybe helps our cause. Oh, there it goes. Yay. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I couldn't see your all's chats. But now I can. Sorry, I just had to hit refresh there. What's up, Emmy? What's up, speaking truth to stupid? Happy wake and bake. This is just coffee, but hey, do you. What's up, Anthony? Good afternoon from New York City. I hope to see you in New York City in June. I'm stoked. What's up, Glass Third Eye? What's up, Frederick? What's up, Anna? Hello, Matthew. Hello, Ali. Hello, Frederick. Hello, Brandon. Anarchist Farmer. Hell yeah. That's awesome. I don't know. I make a joke about that on my album. I reference anarchist farmers. I don't know if that's a reference to that or if you are an actual anarchist farmer. Either way, it's cool. Or both. Be awesome if it's both. What's up, Tim? What's up, Phil? Sorry about, what's up, Inks? Good to see ya. What's up, Karen? Yeah. Awesome. Good to see everybody. I'm glad, yeah, that was weird. I couldn't see the chat, but then it got... We're almost at 30, so we'll be starting here very shortly. Yeah, I had to wake up a little earlier than usual today because my I had so there's a street cleaning on the street aside from me every first and third Tuesday, and I was in one of the early spots, so I had to wake up early to move my car cuz yeah. So anyway, that was frustrating. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me ideas and articles, and we go through those articles together. I'm seeing everything for the first time. You guys sent a lot of stuff today. Like a lot of stuff. Which means we're not going to get to it all. There's no way we're going to get to it all. And that's fine. That's totally cool. But we're not going to get to it all. Guys, thank you for giving the shout-outs to the stream last night. We did a bonus stream last night about the academic piece, Deep Adaptation. Some of you guys remember we talked about climate change, and Deep Adaptation is the big climate change article, or rather the big climate change academic paper that's been going around. Most academic papers only get read by 3 people. This one was read by a lot more. So I asked you guys on the stream, would you guys want me to do an episode just dedicated to that paper? And most people said yes. I checked the comments, and I saw what people were saying. A lot of people wanted me to do it, so I did, and we did that last night. And it's still out there. So if you missed it live, you can check out the video. It's about a half hour. We just kind of go through the piece. I don't read the whole thing, but I read some of the summaries. And it's very critical of neoliberalism, which is very interesting there. All right, so here's today's topic. Some of you guys have been asking me about 2020. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about 2020. We have some 2020 stories today. And you've mentioned that I have brought up on a number of occasions, I really want to see Tulsi and Bernie team up. And people have asked me, well, what exactly do I mean by that? Like what specifically, like as far as the mechanics of that go, what am I calling for? So I'll throw that out here. What do I mean by that? So what I do firmly believe as far as 2020 goes, as far as how this election will go, is that we meaning progressives, if we don't have the strongest push that we've ever had, arguably in the history of American politics, there's no way a progressive, be it Bernie or Tulsi, gets out of a primary. Because the Democratic establishment and the corporate interests and the money that still has a stranglehold on the Democratic Party, they're going to work in syncopation. They're going to cooperate. You can be damn sure of that. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure a progressive doesn't get through. And then maybe they'll work on beating Trump, maybe. If they can beat Trump, great. If not, as long as the progressive didn't get through, still a win for them. Gravy train keeps rolling. So the way I see it, Tulsi and Bernie Sanders, that's our best shot at being so loud that they can't stamp us out, which is something Lee Camp says a lot. We got to be so loud that they can't cheat us, basically. And I do think that's true. So before Bernie announced, I said that optically, I think that Tulsi president, Bernie VP, is the best for optics' sake. I think that Tulsi Gabbard, if given the proper platform, and by proper platform I mean being the presidential nominee, being the opponent to Trump, if given that proper platform, I think she would really be able to mobilize people in a way that I haven't seen in my lifetime. I really do think that as far as a presidential nominee goes. I think she'd be able to communicate with the heartland in a very powerful way. And Bernie's been able to do that too, don't get me wrong. Bernie's done that too. I just think she, if given the right platform and the right push, could do it even better, being the president. And I think Bernie as the VP with the experience and wisdom, I've expressed that optically I think that's the strongest ticket. Now, I've also said that I think either candidate could beat Trump, and that if it was the other way around, I would still totally support it. I'm just, expressing a preference as far as optics go. If it's Bernie Tulsi, I'm still behind it. Or even if it's arranged differently, if it's Bernie and then, maybe he picks Nina Turner as his VP and Tulsi's Secretary of State or something like that, I'm still behind it, again. But I expressed that for optics-wise, I think Tulsi-Bernie would be the strongest foot forward. I do still feel that way, but since Bernie's announced and what we've seen since then, unless there were to be a huge shift, and there's not, it's impossible to really predict an election season. You never know when there's going to be a twist or a turn. I think that when Bernie ran and when Bernie announced his candidacy in 2015, I'm sure he had no idea he was going to do what he did. And it happened very quick, if you guys recall. I mean, it went from a couple people were grumbling about Bernie, saying, hey, this guy, there's this really cool progressive dude out of Vermont. I'd heard of him before, but I don't know much about him. But he's saying some really cool things, and I think I'm going to vote for him in the primary. To almost beating the establishment machine. And, had the thumb not been on the scale, he would have beat the Democratic machine and would have beat Trump in general. So anyway, it's very difficult to predict a season. You never know what's going to happen. But based on what's happened so far, unless there is a very big change, it's not going to happen that way where it's Tulsi Bernie VP. Like, it's just not going to it's going to happen the other way around. because right now the momentum is clearly with Bernie compared to Tulsi. And how do I feel about that? I'm okay with it. You know, I mean, I would love it. So what I would like to see mechanically is that they both hang out in the primary to get on the debate stage. We hear those ideas from Tulsi. It's important that her non-interventionist stances are on the debate stage. And then, you know, eventually one of them drops out and then kind of throws their weight behind the other one, says, hey, this is who I'm supporting. Progressive has a strong push forward. They get through the primary, and then, you know, that progressive picks the other one as VP. That's, you know, mechanically how I would like to see it happen. Realistically, it's going to be Bernie in the president spot, Tulsi in the VP spot as of right now, unless something changes very significantly between now and the end of the primary season, which it might. I don't know for sure that it won't, but as of right now, the momentum's clearly with Bernie Sanders. And, you know, so I hope that that happens, and I'd be supportive of it. I'm totally supportive of it. You know, like I said, I think optically Tulsi Prez, Bernie VP would be a hell of a ticket. But if it's the other way around, I'm still 100% behind it. That's totally fine. And so that's basically what I'm calling for. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hey, brother, we love you, man. Thanks, OG. I appreciate that. Rom, we need fair elections or else Bernie will just get screwed again. Yeah. Absolutely. Ren Stimpy 2020. Tim, you bring up the only way I would actually that is one way I would get off of it. If it was Ren and Stimpy, I would have to throw my weight behind Ren and Stimpy. I just think that they I really think socially they would take us where we need to be, and although I gotta say, for optics-wise, I think that Stimpy, Prez, Ren, VP would be better. Ren is a little bit off-putting at times, whereas I think Stimpy could really carry himself in the debates well. And also, you know, I love cats and dogs, but I am a cat owner, so, or rather a cat owns me. Let's see. OG, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Bernie Tulsi 2020, we love you, Ron. Thank you, OG. I appreciate that very much. And you guys agree that Ren is more of a VP. Although I gotta say, if we're doing cartoon animals, I would throw my weight behind Brian from Family Guy. I think that Brian from Family Guy would make a phenomenal president. He was a big Kucinich guy in '08, just like me. Phil, hey Ron, who sells more tickets to your shows? Whose link sells more tickets to the shows, yours or Graham's? I have no idea, Phil. And it doesn't matter. Whichever you get them from, it's all the same. Whether you get them from my link or Graham's link, it does not matter. Just grab those tickets. So yeah, I would have to go Brian. Maybe, you know what? I think Brian Prez, Stimpy VP, Ren Secretary of State. I think that's our best foot forward to beating Trump. Some of you guys are expressing Brian's drinking being an issue. That is a valid concern. But I mean, Franklin Pierce was the last drunk we had, and I mean, he just burned a bunch of shit down. So, you know, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Fred, as the campaign manager for Lucy 2020, I have to ask why you are dismissing our candidate. Because I don't think she wants the gig. I do have concerns about Lucy wanting the gig. She has expressed free cat treats for all. I tried to explain to her, look, a lot of people don't eat cat treats. Like humans, they're not really big on that. And she said, I don't give a shit. And I was like, well, I feel like you're imposing your diet on everyone else. I don't know if I appreciate that. Which, by the way, a little bit of foreshadowing. Tomorrow, our topic is going to be diets. Somebody tweeted me an article on the intermittent fasting diet, which I myself have done. And I've been wanting to do a diet topic for a while, so I figured we would use that opportunity tomorrow to make it the topic. Because I've done 3 over the past year. And I'm going to share what I've found. And we're going to talk about it. So, keep in mind I'm just one person. What works for one person might not work for everyone. But we're going to have a diet-centric topic tomorrow. All right. Daniel says, at this point, I think Trump would even make Beavis and Butthead look good. Beavis and Butthead, I don't know if I could get behind them. I don't know where they are politically, really, and I'm worried they would really be a one-issue candidates. I really do feel that way. Of course, Butthead would be Prez, Beavis would be VP, because, Butthead's a bit of a control freak, when it comes to Beavis. But I feel like their only issue would just be sex positivity, which is great. I'm all for it, but you need a president that's going to take on a lot of policy issues, not just one. And I feel like Beavis and Butthead, they just really want to get laid, and so it's just all going to be about sex positivity. So I don't know if I could get behind a Beavis and Butthead ticket. Now, I would vote for Daria in a heartbeat. Daria gets my vote. Daria, I would just, I think that in many ways, Daria could have been the next Chomsky, but she kind of bailed on that. And I think her one Achilles heel was her love for Trent. And Trent is the coolest cartoon ever. By far. How cool was Trent? And I know we've done a video about Trent before, but goddamn was Trent cool. So Trent, but he was Daria's downfall. So I do think Daria could have been the next Chomsky. So I would vote for her in a heartbeat, and I would want Trent. I would want Trent to be the Secretary of Labor. I would want Trent. He'd be like, everybody. Trent would be great in office, wouldn't he? He'd be like, I really want everyone to get a living wage because no one should be working for the man. Trent was so cool. So cool. Rick and Morty ticket. Rick, I could not vote for Rick Sanchez. Rick Sanchez I cannot vote for. He is way too libertarian. I could not get behind Rick Sanchez. I think that, first of all, he wouldn't give a shit about healthcare because he knows we have limitless dimensions. So he'd be like, are you sick? Just go to a fucking dimension where you're not sick. He'd be like, Rick, not everybody has that kind of privilege. He'd be like, I build robots for fun. I don't give a shit. I can't relate to that. Rick, it's weird you're such a libertarian. It's very weird that this has really gone off the rails, but we're finishing this. It's very weird that Rick Sanchez is such a libertarian when he himself has his different needs on why he needs the people in his life. You ever notice that? Rick Sanchez, diehard libertarian. But Rick needs Morty. Hence, Rick needs to cohabitate with his family. And I'm not going to say any more about that because it's really cool. For those of you that haven't checked out Rick and Morty, do it. Trust me, you'll thank me. Rick and Morty's brilliant, but you find out that Rick needs Morty. That's all I'm going to say. Because when you find out why Rick needs Morty, it's really fucking cool. And please don't spoil it in the chat if you know that. Because when you find out why Rick needs Morty, it's really cool. That was actually one of my favorite revelations in the show. Because you wondered about it. But it's interesting that Rick is such a libertarian to the core. Like an Ayn Rand level libertarian. When he himself needs community. It's very interesting. Do you know anything about Beto O'Rourke? Yeah, he votes for the banks. He votes for Wall Street. He is center-right, but he talks nice, and he's kind of, he does some kind of cool things, like he skateboards and plays rock and roll music. But I'm pretty sure that he, I don't like him as a politician for the same reason he probably left the dudes in At the Drive-In. He's not progressive enough. So, yeah, not a Beto fan. And, yeah, I think Obama 2.0 is the exact way to describe him. A likable dude whose policies aren't good. He was better than Ted Cruz, which is a pretty low bar. Magnetic Perturbation just said it perfectly. Better than Ted Cruz, pretty low bar. And you know what else he couldn't do? He couldn't beat Ted Cruz. But you know what? If Beto made a cartoon, I'd be curious to see what it was like. All right, let's move on. Let's move on.org. We got a lot to talk about today because you guys have been sending stuff. So since we're talking about 2020 a little bit, here's something that's going on in Iowa. This is going on in Iowa. Big changes are coming to Iowa's 2020 caucuses. All right. Why the process could look very different next year in the key early voting state. The Iowa Democratic Party is preparing to implement the most sweeping and radical changes to its first-in-the-nation caucuses in 50 years, including potentially adopting online elements that could increase participation by upward of 100,000 voters. This, by the way, is what people are skeptical of, and reasonably so. This right here, online elements. We have spent many, many months and thousands of hours of conversations with a whole lot of different folks, blah, 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 blah. This is what we're going to do. All right. We're down to 3 choices. We're down to an absentee ballot system. We're down to a proxy system. We're down to a telecaucus system. I would venture to say we are even down to 2 potential solutions. Okay. So they haven't decided exactly which options to pursue, but here's some of the things that are going to go on. They're going to offer same-day registration to any voter willing to join the party, and an ability to remotely caucus will pose unprecedented outreach, organizing, and turnout possibilities. And they're saying that we think this is realistic. The changes coming to Iowa's will be the first in over half a century. Now, here's the Achilles heel. You know, so first of all, obviously, making voting easier is a great thing. I mean, they go out of their way to suppress the vote. They try to make it as difficult as they can. I'm supportive of anything that makes voting easier. Same-day registration, I'm all for it. Mail-ins, I'm all for it. Absentees, making it as easy as possible, I'm all for it. What I'm not for is taking on different elements that open up the door to shenanigans. That's what I'm not for, and that's why a lot of people are concerned about all the changes that are taking place, namely this online thing. The biggest challenge is not what will likely draw the early headlines, that Iowa likely will be conducting online voting in 2020 caucuses. And, you know, I hate to say it because it's bad for the environment, but we got to go to paper ballots until we can figure out something more secure. That's just it. Right now, unfortunately, traceable paper ballots is the best we got. I know that people are experimenting with different types of blockchain things and different types of very transparent, secure methods, but I don't think this online voting system is going to be it right away in 2020. So this is a concern. Nor will it concern what online technology, vendor security, and authentication will be used. So the article points that out as well. Instead, the party will have to create a counting process where the votes coming into its 1,679 caucus sites are electronically tabulated in an open and coordinated fashion with each round of voting in the caucus sites. Under Iowa's caucus rules, presidential candidates with less than 15% of the votes are excluded from subsequent voting rounds. The caucus ends when all the remaining contenders are above that threshold. So in late December, the Democratic Party released their 2020 delegate selection rules to encourage greater participation. The guidelines came after the 2-year unity reform process triggered by the 2016 election, the primary race between Hillary and Bernie. For caucuses, the rules require voting by mail and are online voters who are not physically present. The rules also require same-day registration. So again, some of these I think are good things, but then some of these raise concerns that there's going to be some shenanigans. And online voting is one of those concerns. I think in many ways online voting kind of opens the door for corruption, not from voters themselves, but from the gatekeepers. So that's the early concern here, and it is a valid one. And, we're still waiting to know more about the process, but it doesn't look like it's kind of a new, tried and true, secure thing. So we got to go paper ballots. I'm all about same-day registration. I'm all about whatever it takes to make voting easier, but not at the cost of further tarnishing our already grossly tarnished elections. I mean, hell, sometimes even paper ballots get illegally destroyed. So, our election system is very corrupt. So anything that would further corrupt it ain't a good thing. And right now, we do not have enough security in online voting. At least based on every analysis I've seen. So there you go. All right, we'll stick with 2020 for a little bit. Here's some breaking news. Hillary Clinton says she's not running in 2020. My first response was, thank fucking God. Then I thought about it for a little more, and my second response was, who fucking cares? But let's go to the article. Hillary Clinton, not running in 2020, decides she has abused the United States enough. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says she's not running for president again. I'm not running. The 2016 Democratic nominee told News 12 Westchester. Here's what she said, though. She would continue working and speaking and standing up for what I believe. What is that? What does she believe? What is she going to work and stand up for other than herself? What does she believe? Has anyone ever gotten an answer to that question? I've tried. I have tried. And I know some of the most ardent Hillary supporters in the world. And as far as what does she believe? What does she stand for? What's she going to do for healthcare? What's she going to do? The only time she ever got excited on the campaign trail was when she was talking about how we can never have universal health care. It's the only time she got excited. Another time she gets excited when she talks about killing Gaddafi. She gets excited, or she gets giggly about that. Usually when people want to talk about policies regarding Hillary Clinton, they bring up something from the 90s. When she was actually campaigning for universal health care, when she was actually fighting for universal health care, then the big pharma checks came in, she changed her tune. Oh, and they kind of don't mention that part. They forget about that part. But anyway, she's going to continue standing up and fighting for what she believes in, whatever the fuck that is. I have yet to know what that is. All right. I want to be sure that people understand I'm going to keep speaking out. That's nice. I'm not going anywhere. Why would you? You're still making tons of money. Although you're having trouble selling tickets. What's at stake in our country? Okay. It's deeply troubling to me. We've gotten not just polarized, she continued. We've gotten into really, really opposing camps, unlike anything I've ever seen in my adult life. I'm sure you've had nothing to do with that, Hillary Clinton. All right, so she plans to take an active role in the next election cycle, which already features a crowded field. All right. She's met with a range of candidates and individuals considering a run. So she's met with Klobuchar and former Vice President Joe Biden. Biden's still considering whether he will launch a 2020 campaign. Well, I'm sure the fact that Hillary's not running will have an effect on that decision. because now he knows he has permission to run. The anointed queen has said she's not running. And the reason my second response was who the fuck cares is because if she were to run, first of all, she wouldn't take votes away from Bernie. She would just take votes away from the other centrists. What would likely happen is they would just sort of get behind her. The machine would just sort of get behind her, and it would just be like a repeat of 2016. And again, we would just be hoping that progressives are so loud and so large that they can't be cheated. And we got to hope for that anyway. Whether Hillary runs or not, we got to hope for that anyway. So Hillary's not running. And I'm glad she's not running. I'm glad that we don't have to go through that again. But I think that as history goes on, the Clintons are going to be seen as a very dark stain in American politics, and no pun intended with the stain reference. But as time has gone on, the Bill Clinton presidency has been looked on with less and less fondness, and reasonably so. He did a lot of terrible things. Which brings me to our next topic, which will go to Bill Clinton. We'll stay on the Clintons here for a hot minute. Bill Clinton has 2020 advice, but few candidates are seeking that. You know why that is? Because grifts eventually expire. Bill Clinton is a grifter. The entire Clinton organization are grifters. And eventually grifts expire. And this is a grift that has expired. Bill Clinton saw an opportunity to take the Democrats in a more business-oriented direction. He saw an opportunity to win with that type of messaging. It was a very short-term agenda that had very catastrophic effects for the long term. It was a short-term agenda to win. And then when he implemented what he wanted, because he was just a Republican anyway, still is, we're still dealing with the catastrophic effects. He deregulated Wall Street. He helped make the banks bigger, which Obama continued. We're still suffering from all those consequences. He made a horrible media structure even more terrible. Somehow he managed to take our media, which was already terrible, and make it worse, which is very impressive. He managed to do that. Our media structure, which, by the way, when it comes to press freedom, we're barely in the top 50. By the way, land of the free, we're barely in the top 50 when it comes to press freedom. We're around the same ranking as Italy. Italy, a country where the former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi was the Prime Minister. He was a Hollywood mogul. He was Donald Trump, basically. He was Trump before there was Trump. He's Italy's Trump. He ran the entire media. They would run stories about how long he'll be able to have sex into his old years. Those were serious stories published by the Italian media because he ran everything. We're on par with Italy when it comes to that's where we're at. And that ranking is deserved. In fact, I think we're one ahead of Italy. I would argue we should be one below Italy. I would argue we're even worse. Because they actually have real left-wing media there. And at the corporate level, we do not. At the mass corporate level, we do not have that. We just don't. Our media structure shouldn't even be legal. You shouldn't have, when you have organizations like Comcast who have these blatant conflicts of interest, they shouldn't be allowed to run a news and information outlet. They can run a PR outlet, which is what they do. But passing it off as news and information to the populace, that should not be legal. There should be laws protecting people from that. But there aren't. And one of the reasons there aren't is because of Bill Clinton and the Telecommunications Act in 1996. He helped gut any media protections we've had. So he somehow took a repulsive structure, made it even worse. He pulled that off. So that's why no one wants your advice, Bill Clinton. It's because grifts have an expiration date. And your expiration date is beyond expired. You are the milk somebody forgot about in the refrigerator 2 years ago. You're not just like, oh shit, is this still good? It's like a week past the expiration date. Let me do a sniff test. You are, hey, I'm moving out of my apartment. I forgot this milk was there. When the fuck did I buy it? That's how expired Bill Clinton and those ideas are. So the only reason anybody would want to listen to him is if they want to lose. You know what they were doing when Hillary was behind? You know what they decided to do? By the way, when Hillary was behind, their big idea to try to mobilize people and get more support for her when she wasn't as ahead in the polls as they thought she should have been, they sent out mailers. You have to send out mailers. Don't get me wrong, that still has a place. But that was like their main wheelhouse. Like, it was like mailers come first, everything else is second. Because the last time they were a dominant political force, email wasn't really a fucking thing. So they sent out mailers, and then they called landlines, probably. And then they offered everybody a free 8-track. The Clintons. All right, let's see if there's anything to this article. And there he is, trying to pull off another grift. And his last one didn't work out so well. Their speaking tour, didn't sell many tickets. Because grifts have an expiration date. All right, nearly 20 years after he left the White House, Bill Clinton is still sought after for advice by some Democrats running for president. But the names on his dance card in recent months underscore how much his standing in the party has changed. Okay. So far, none of the party's early frontrunners have had a formal meeting with him, nor have the women who are... Well, that's probably a good judgment call for them. Instead, Clinton has spoken mostly with male candidates. I knew it. Clinton's a sexist Bernie bro. I always knew it. Bill Clinton, sexist burn bro. Clinton remains one of the Democrats' most successful politicians of the last half century and one of its strongest messengers on the economy. Yet the party has shifted considerably to the left since his 2 terms in the White House. He continued Reaganomics. He gutted welfare. So... if by bringing down the economy, then yeah, he certainly helped with that, which was further exacerbated by George W. Bush. Let's see. And he pushed through NAFTA. His personal baggage, that's putting it very gently, as well as lingering hostilities from his wife Hillary Clinton's failed 2016 campaign, make him an awkward advisor for some in his party's next class of presidential hopefuls. You know what else makes him an awkward advisor? He's straight up creepy. There's that. He's a creepy guy. He's repulsive on every level. Politically, morally, socially. He's repulsive on every level. But he was that cool guy that played the saxophone, and then he took off his mask. So yeah... no candidate with half a brain would want Bill Clinton's advice because grifts have an expiration date. Now, old grifts are replaced by new grifts. Don't get me, I'm not going to sit here and entertain some naivety that Bill Clinton was the first or last grifter. Of course he's not. There's plenty of Republican grifters, plenty of Democrat grifters, and everything in between. But you got to move on to a new grift, and Bill Clinton, as Andy Warhol would say, your 15 minutes are up, and you really fucking overstayed your welcome. So the last person out, please turn out the lights on that one. All right, so that was that. We'll move on to other things. Ilhan Omar. Here's what you need to know about the attacks against Ilhan Omar. You know, before we go to the article, I can tell you there's only one thing you need to know. Ilhan Omar did nothing wrong. There you go. Over. Ilhan Omar did nothing wrong. Criticizing a lobby is not wrong, especially when it's a lobby like AIPAC. And criticizing the right-wing Israeli government is not wrong either. That's actually quite justified. And it has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It is not even remotely related. That's just propaganda. So, that's the first thing you need to know about Ilhan Omar. She did nothing wrong. But let's go to the article. Here's what you need to know about the attacks against Ilhan Omar. Minnesota Rep. Ilhan Omar isn't backing down as she deals with attacks from both Republicans and members of her own party. On Sunday, the freshman congresswoman rejected resurgent accusations of anti-Semitism against her as nothing more than attacks manufactured to silence her criticism of Israel's right-wing government and the occupation of Palestinian territories. In a series of tweets, 37-year-old Omar responded to outrage from her critics. Ugh. She's 37. She looks fantastic. I'm younger than 37, and I look way older than her. I am not 37. I look way older than Ilhan Omar. So that bothers me. You know what? She did everything well. I'm just kidding. That'd be funny if I totally changed my tune and just started making a bunch of shit up about her. Because, like, she looks fucking younger than me. I can't take it. We gotta have the right priorities. All right. So I know a lot of you guys have been following this already. You guys have been tweeting this at me. And let's keep in mind, she faced... Here, this the threatening poster. Okay. So, the day that Rep. Engel publicly blasted Omar for her comments about Israel, a poster was discovered in West Virginia's Capitol Rotunda that equated the elected congresswoman to terrorists who destroyed the World Trade Center. Look at this. So, never forget, you said. And then underneath this, it says, I'm proof you forgot. It has a picture of Ilhan Omar, and it says, I'm proof you forgot. Meaning that because she's Muslim, she was responsible for 9/11. So that was an incredibly, and then there's this. Look at this. She's gotten death threats because here's what people really have a problem with. Here's the real problem. Right here. Omar is one of the only 2 Muslim women ever elected to Congress. That's what a lot of folks really have a problem with. And it is very telling about the Democratic establishment that they have been more vocal about condemning her for her statements against an oppressive government. Her justified statements against an oppressive government and against AIPAC. They have been more vocal in criticizing her for that than they have in criticizing the people who have posted these horrific posters about her, who have posted this anti-Muslim hate speech. I've seen very little in defense of her from the Democratic establishment when it comes to that. But when it comes to her issue, like her speaking out against the Israeli government, they're very vocal there. You know why? Because this is the number one concern. Money, 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 money. That's what they care about most. You're going to speak out against lobbyists? Ooh, we can't have that. Someone displays some anti-Muslim, some grossly anti-Muslim rhetoric about you and calls for death threats. It happens. It happens. And this is the same Democratic establishment that likes to hijack and abuse identity politics. This is the same Democratic establishment that loves to do that. Here, you have your colleague who is being openly discriminated against for her background in religion and race. You are nearly silent. But when she calls out a lobbying group, and justifiably so, and she calls out an oppressive government, and justifiably so, ooh, then you're clutching your pearls. And it's just all about money. It's all about money. There's nothing even remotely anti-Semitic about what Ilhan Omar did. And the fact that I even need to utter that sentence is evident of how thick the propaganda is in this country. But interesting selective outrage. Very interesting. Anti-Muslim bigotry, calling through death threats of a colleague. No big deal. You criticize Israel, and justifiably so. Whoa. Whoa, we're going to have some measures on that. And again, to close, the most important thing about the Ilhan Omar thing that you need to know, she did absolutely nothing wrong. All right. So here's something we're going to preview a little bit. Then I'm going to go to you guys to end the show today. Democrats are going to push to reinstate repealed net neutrality rules, so we are told. Democrats in the U.S. Congress plan to unveil legislation tomorrow. On Wednesday, they're going to reveal legislation to reinstate net neutrality rules that were repealed by the Trump administration. Pelosi told lawmakers in a letter that House Democrats are going to introduce the Save the Internet Act. Now, the text of this proposed legislation has not been released. And in California, we're not enforcing our own net neutrality rules as of right now in California because it's still being battled out in the courts. Now, here's something. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, announced that they're going to push the Save the Internet Act tomorrow. Now, Pelosi's state of California, this is the sentence that is important and why I had 2 articles for this. Pelosi's state of California has offered up the strictest net neutrality protections legislations in the country so far. The new House bill is unlikely to be as robust as the California law. It will potentially be as simple as codifying the Obama-era consumer protections. Okay, so what they're saying is this net neutrality bill might not be as strong as California's. It will likely just be Obama-era net neutrality protections. Now, is that the best news? That it's probably not going to be as strong as California's? No, it's not the best news, but hopefully it will still be a decent net neutrality bill. The Obama-era net neutrality protections were strong net neutrality protections. Is it a permanent fix for this issue? No. And it's not going to be. Keep in mind, this bill has a long hurdle to go. You know, it's got to get approved. Senate's got to sign off on it. Trump's got to sign off of it. It has a big hurdle. So, it may not go anywhere anyway, but if it is Obama-era net neutrality, which keep in mind, Obama didn't invent those net neutrality protections. The net neutrality protections were already assumed. The cable companies took it to court. The cable companies won, but the courts gave the FCC a path to designate the internet a Title II. Now, speculation says that this Democrat bill will designate the internet a Title II. If it doesn't, the bill is as worthless as all the Republican net neutrality bills. The Republicans have put forth a couple net neutrality bills that are just total scams. And if it doesn't have Title II protection for the internet, it's worthless because Title II is the only thing keeping the internet a common carrier, which means ISPs will not be able to gouge it and treat it like an information service. So if there's no Title II, the protections are useless. So that's the big measure. California's bill has a 0 rating. It prohibits 0 rating. And that is what makes the California bill even stronger than other bills. What 0 rating is, it means that certain internet service providers, if you use their video service, it doesn't count against your data cap. And California's bill says, no, that prioritizes certain video services over others. You can't do that to consumers. You can't have data, you can't enforce your caps that way. So I'm for that part of the bill, but if it's not in there, that's not the most significant issue of net neutrality. I can deal with that as a short-term fix. The long-term fix, of course, is nationwide municipal broadband. Let's take the internet out of the hands of big cable and into the hands of cities. That's the permanent fix. But in the short term, hopefully this is a strong bill that isn't just a heist like all the Republican bills. Speculation is saying Title II protections in there. That's the big thing. If there's no Title II, it's worthless. If there's Title II, it's basically going to be like the net neutrality we previously had on the books, which was good. But still not going to be the permanent fix. And even if this bill goes through, which it's not looking likely that it will. I mean, unless Trump were to cave to public pressure, you know, I don't know if it could get through the Senate or not. So we'll see. But right now, that's something to look forward to tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to have an update on that, because that's when it's supposed to be unveiled. Hopefully, it will be unveiled before the stream starts. That's my hope. Let me see what you guys are saying. And that is how we'll end today's show. Creative experiments. They got rid of high-speed rail, and Dianne Feinstein told kids to shut up and leave her office. What makes you think you'll get municipal broadband? Because cities all over the country are getting it. Because Longmont, Colorado was able to push it through. Because Fort Collins, Colorado was able to push it through. Because Sandy, Oregon was able to push it through. Because Charlemont, Massachusetts was able to tell Comcast to get lost and push it through. What does Dianne Feinstein have to do with municipalities in California getting broadband? Nothing. That's the answer to that question. Nothing. So I don't really care what Dianne Feinstein does as far as municipal broadband is concerned, because she has nothing to do with municipal broadband in my community. It's a grassroots effort. And Slow News Day says Fort Collins is fairly conservative. If they can, we can. Local politicians, says Chris, are more likely to listen to the people. A GOP mayor in Texas switched 100% of his energy to renewable energy, first in the country. Power is local, guys. That's, you know, local is where you got the power. That's very true. Let's see. What else are you guys saying? Whatever became, Musco asked, whatever became of Ro Khanna's Internet Bill of Rights? I'm not sure. We'll have to do a follow-up on that. You guys are supporting net neutrality. That's good. Daniel, great show, Ron. Thank you. Let's keep pushing for paper ballots and keep fighting. Right on. Chris says, I already made a meme of how great it is Hillary isn't running in 2020. Right on. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thanks so much for being part of this. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. I got some tour dates. Next week, Graham Elwood and myself are going to be in the Gulf. Come out. We're going to be in Oxford, Mississippi. We're going to be in Lafayette, Louisiana. We're going to be in Pensacola, Florida. We're going to be in New Orleans. Tickets are available at ronplacone.com. Also, Graham Elwood and myself are coming to Texas in April. We got a tour of Texas, San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Fort Worth. May, we're going to be in Salt Lake City and Boise. And June, we're coming to the East Coast. We're going to be in New York. Someone just asked, when are we going to be in New York? We're going to be in New York City, June 17th. East Coast, we're going to be in Baltimore, D.C., Philadelphia for 2 nights, New York City, Boston. Can't wait to see you there. And tickets for all those shows, all those Progressive Comedy Tours shows are available at ronplacone.com. I'm doing a house show in Boulder Creek, California on April 19th. If you live in that area, want to attend the house show, email me, ronplacone.com, email me, and I'll get you the details on that. May 1st, I'm going to be in Indianapolis. Can't wait to see my Hoosier friends. And Edwin, thank you for reminding me, March 24th, I'm going to be doing a solo show in Pasadena at Meow Meows. Meow Meows is my favorite thrift punk shop. They make my buttons. Here, I actually have one sitting here on my desk. I can show it to you. They make my buttons. And these were actually the buttons that were considered damaged by their standards, although they're still fine. So anyway, Meow Meows makes my buttons. I'm going to be doing a solo show there. That show is free. There is a suggested donation, and all the proceeds go to the shop. It goes straight to Meow Meows. I'm not making a dime off of it. It's just to help the shop, with their needs and for thanking them for giving me the space. So that's going on right here in Pasadena. So Los Angeles area, folks, that's happening March the 24th. Guys, thanks so much for being part of this. If you can support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of perks, including my album, including full stand-up sets that I record in Los Angeles, and you help keep this show on the air, and you help me expand. I did a bonus stream yesterday. I want to do more of those. So if you got an extra $1 a month, want to throw it my way, great. If not, your support means everything in the world already. Please do like and share these videos. Please tell your friends, and thank you for being the best executive producers in the business. This show would not be possible without you. It could not happen without you. So you guys are awesome for being here. Thank you for making the world's first viewer of curated streaming news show possible. And let's keep on. Let's get in our lanes and fight. Right? Yeah. It's time to get in our lane. It's time to do what Joe Strummer trained us for. Peace. Oh, I'll be back tomorrow, by the way. Same bat time, same bat channel. 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Peace.